Presumably, we watched Jean drown in Alkali Lake, presumably dead in the movie of X2 X-Men United. But she comes alive and returns as a phoenix. As a phoenix, she kills Scott, her boyfriend, and Charles, the only one who can control Phoenix. On the other side, the government has found the anti-mutant serum to permanently turn mutants into normal humans. As usual, Magneto is against the government, taking control of the Phoenix and provoking a war. You can already predict how it would have been. In the middle of all this, despite saving Magneto, Mystic receives a shot at herself and turns into a human. But Magneto left her saying that she was not one of them anymore. So, Mystic decides to take revenge on him. What happened to Xavier's school then? Who controlled the gene when Magneto turned into a normal human? Did Charles resurrect? Let's watch it through the movie recap of X Men The Last Stand. Welcome to Movie Spotlight. A teenage Jean Grey is approached by Professor Charles Xavier and Magneto at her parents' home in the 1980s with an invitation to enroll in their school, the X Mansion. Jean's parents are eager to get rid of her since they think she is ill. When Jean shows off her ability to mentally levitate every automobile in the area, she has the makings of a formidable Category 5 mutant. 10 years later, a youthful Warren Worthington III tries to amputate his wings. When he learns that his son is a mutant, his father, Michael Murphy's Warren Worthington II, is appalled. A few years later, the X Men engage in simulated combat with a massive robot. Colossus, a mutant able to change his body into organic steel, and Kitty Pryde, a mutant able to phase through matter and walk through solid objects, have joined the team. Storm is adamant about working as a team, but Wolverine has Colossus hurl him in the robot's direction. At the same time, he uses his claws enhanced with adamantium to chop off the gigantic robot's head. Logan's lack of teamwork has angered Storm. Cyclops didn't join the team at their combat practice because Cyclops is now a changed man, still depressed since Jean drowned in Alkali Lake. Beast, now a secretary in the Department of Mutant Affairs, heads to the meeting with the President of the United States. The US government is in charge of Mystic and she is being held in the mobile jail. She was apprehended for taking a top secret document that contained information about vaccine for mutants created from the DNA of another mutant named Leech. In class, the professor shares Moira McTaggart's case study of a man who was born with no higher level of brain function. Neither did he have consciousness to speak of. Then Hank visits Charles and informs him that a major pharmaceutical company has developed a mutant antibody to permanently suppress the mutant X gene, referring to it as a cure. A while later, Warren Worthington II's pharmaceutical company, Worthington Labs, declared that it had created a vaccination that could suppress the X gene, which gave mutants their abilities and distinguished them from regular humans. This cure is made available to any mutant who desires it. Magneto, the enemy of the X Men, gathers an army in reaction to the news and informs his supporters that the cure will be used forcefully to eradicate the mutant race. Magneto warns those who resist the cure that it will be turned into a weapon to wipe out the mutant race and re establish the Brotherhood of Mutants. Along with Pyro, Callisto, a mutant with superhumanly sharp senses who senses mutants and their class level powers, and a few other mutants join Magneto. Hank meets a young boy named Leech, a mutant with the capacity to negate the effects of other mutants in the vicinity. DNA cannot now be created, it can only be reproduced. The mutant cure was a special anti mutagenic antibody that could remove a mutant's powers and restore them to normal human form. Warren Worthington II constructed it using Leech's DNA a few years after discovering his son Warren Worthington III was a mutant. Still grieving over Jean's passing, Cyclops makes his way back to Alkali Lake. Cyclops sees Jean and she can now control Cyclops' powerful energy blast from his eyes. But as they kiss, Jean changes into a terrifying figure. Professor X senses something terrible for Cyclops and he sends Wolverine and Storm to look into a possible problem. Upon reaching their destination, the two X Men came across rocks that are telekinetically floating, Cyclops spectacles, and an unconscious Jean. The actual Cyclops is nowhere to be seen. According to Xavier, Jean released the strong other personality he refers to as Phoenix when she offered herself as a sacrifice. Xavier surmises that Jean was cocooned in the cocoon of telekinetic energy by her powerful abilities. When Wolverine finds out that Xavier has been using telepathy to control Jean, which is how Jean and Phoenix became separate people. He becomes enraged after listening to him. Warren Worthington too is ready to use the cure on his own son, Warren. He convinces his son that everything is going to be okay, but Warren is not ready to take it. He flees away, heading to Xavier's school for help. Magneto and his supporting mutants assist him in his attack on Mobile Jail, releasing Mystic, along with James Madrox, who has the mutant power of being multiple man, and Juggernaut, a mutant who can build any momentum and no object can stop him. After protecting Magneto from a cure dart, Mystic loses her mutant powers. Magneto leaves her behind, saying she is not one of them anymore. Once the weaponization is completed without Hank's knowledge, he resigns from his post in the government and returns to Expansion, where he believes he belongs owing to his values. Logan is shocked to learn of the psychic tampering with Jean's mind, but when she recovers, he realizes that she murdered Scott and is not the Jean Grey he knew. The Phoenix appears, knocks Logan unconscious, and flees to her childhood home. After Callisto alerts Magneto to the presence of a powerful mutant, whom he recognizes as Magneto and his allies are ready at Jean Grey's childhood home when Xavier and his X-Men arrive. The two men compete for Jean's loyalty until the Phoenix resurfaces, destroys her family's house, disintegrates Xavier, and flees with Magneto. At school, Storm gives an eulogy on Charles. Kitty is emotionally down because Charles' passing, so Iceman calms her by taking her out. Rogue feels envious on Kitty because Iceman and Kitty are growing closer. Iceman, Rogue's boyfriend, is incapable of being touched since he faints if she makes physical contact with him. So, Rogue, a young mutant woman whose power enables her to momentarily take on the powers of everyone she touches, rendering her victims unconscious, is intrigued by the cure and she moves out of the school to take the cure to be happy with Iceman. Warren joins Xavier's school. Magneto has already started his attack against the cure. He also shares a video promising there will be a war against the cure. Listening to that, the president decides to give Magneto a war. Deep-powered Mystic reveals the truth about Magneto to the FBI, which helps them raid Magneto's lair in the woods. However, multiple men and his replicas are the only human heat signatures found in the camp. The X-Men and the US government are aware that Magneto intends to invade Alcatraz to kill Leech and therefore destroy the source of the cure. They reunite to face Magneto's troops despite being vastly outnumbered. Magneto has rerouted the Golden Gate Bridge to give access to Alcatraz Island, which houses the Worthington Labs complex. The military personnel defending the base are equipped with the plastic cure weapons that may eliminate the attacking mutants and are non-metallic to counter Magneto's abilities. Magneto allows the less powerful mutants to march ahead, incurring terrible losses at first, but quickly overwhelming the army. Wolverine, Storm, Beast, Iceman, Colossus, and Shadowcat arrive to confront Magneto and his forces. Meanwhile, Shadowcat has entered the facility to locate the mutant who is the source of the cure and rescue him from the bloodthirsty Juggernaut. Warren saves his father from Magneto's Brotherhood. Logan distracts Magneto so Hank McCoy can inject him with the cure to disable his powers. Beast injects Magneto with the cure, rendering his powers ineffective. They flee as Phoenix starts to ruin everything around her. Wolverine knows that his self healing abilities make him the only one who can approach her. He orders Storm to evacuate everyone and confronts Phoenix alone, his might barely neutralizing her disintegration onslaught. Jean, temporarily in charge, begs Wolverine to help her. Wolverine stabs and kills Jean, telling her he loves her and weeps over her body. The school continues without Xavier, with Storm as headmistress and Logan as a teacher. The US president appoints Beast as an ambassador to the United Nations. Rogue returns and informs Iceman that she has taken the cure, and the two clasp hands for the first time. Without his powers, Magneto sits at the chessboard in the park and grabs a metal chess piece that moves slightly with power. Dr. Moira McTaggart examines a comatose patient who welcomes her in Xavier's voice. Surprised, she responds, "Charles?"